Okay, how you doing? I'm Paddy Egan, Paddy Egan. I'm here in Custys, Lennis, and wonderful shop. I come here many years. I'm here to promote the album Tubragan Tra, which I made during the pandemic. I'm going to play a tune off of it. First set of jigs, which is called, the first one is the Musgrave Tram, the second one is the Green Fields of Woodford, and the third one then is Michael Burke's, and this is track number 4 off the album.
Beautiful play, Paddy. Lovely play. When we got this album first, Frances Custy was just here. She got it, and the minute she played it, she knew she loved it. Okay, and she instantly sold it. Anytime she played it, people just loved it. So there's a lovely little bit of magic associated with this. Now, Catherine Tiddle, Tubragan Tra, Cos Brílis.
Tubragan Tra, on well that doesn't run dry, I suppose, in English, but that's the best translation you can give, I suppose.
All right, okay. So
it's more like a well that doesn't abate or doesn't let up, and so it's an analogy for the tunes that you find both that have been left behind and the ones that are come up by new composers as well.
Lovely, okay.
So, yeah.
So it's always there, and as I say, there's no need for replenishing something that can't be.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, no, it's lovely. I met you here at Vince Keehan so many years ago. Vince
That's
up in
right.
San Francisco. So
Yeah,
obviously
good friend
you've
over there.
travelled. you've travelled the four corners of the earth, and you spent a bit of time in San Francisco, did you?
Yeah, it's funny, the first time I was in here, I was coming in with someone who was living in San Francisco at the time. Yeah, Vincey is over there since 1982. He's a great friend.
Yeah.
And everyone over in San Francisco is a great community over there.
Sure.
The Plough and the Stars is a pub that I used to play in a lot, and it was nearly gone during the pandemic. Actually, I had to do a fundraiser for it, so we got it over 50,000, I think, on a GoFundMe campaign. So it's back up and running now, and they have music in there again now. So thankfully, it's back up and going.
Okay.
It's it's a thing everywhere I've went. I've lived in different cities all over, and Limerick and Galway and Dublin and London and San Francisco as well, but in most of those places the Irish music community, as you know, is really powerful.
Sure, it's vibrant. And now you're in Cork.
Yeah,
laterally.
I'm in Cork now. Yeah, that's
and
it.
have you rooted there? Or the
think
Freiburg
so.
has gone very
I
deep?
think so, finally. Yeah.
Okay. And you started, I remember I asked you before about you. Oh, sorry, who did you start playing with?
Yeah.
You mentioned Larry Kinsella.
Yeah, he would have been one of the first main teachers of concertina that I had. So I would have went to a lot of different people down around Laois and down in Wicklow, and then down to Wexford as well. And with my brother Larry, of course, the accordion player. He used to go to Helen Comfort and Colin Lee and people like that. And
I see.
I pick up tunes from all sorts of places, but Larry was the main influence because he really got me on the road to play concertina properly.
And he had an album, it was Barley, what was the
He
type?
did, yeah. It was called The Barley Grain. It came out in 2008. And,
Barley Grain.
Unfortunately, we lost Larry in 2013, so
Yeah.
R.I.P. But yeah, he was a great stalwart of the tunes, and he sort
Right.
of had a philosophy on the music as well. You know,
I could imagine.
He loved the hurling and the Irish language and all that as well. So
Lovely. The Wexford hurling.
yeah, the Wexford versus Kilkenny was the big
The
one.
nemesis,
There's a
yeah.
few stories there too. Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, they're playing Kerry this week now,
Are
or
they?
this weekend, and on to play Clare if they beat Kerry, which they will.
And they'll beat Clare as well, is that it?
You think so? Yeah. Unlikely.
Don't know about
No,
that.
Antrim might be Cork, but
Yeah,
we'll
yeah.
see. We'll see. Listen, you spent a bit of time with one of my favourite fiddle players down in Waterford, who's connected with Clare through his marriage to a lovely West Clare girl who plays concertina as well.
Oh right, would that be Neil?
Neil Byrne.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So you spent a bit of time there as well in your travels.
Yeah, I think the first time when I left the nest, I suppose, in Wicklow, where I'm from, near Shillelagh, a little place called Parkbridge. My father's and mother's pub is called Egan's Bar, Parkbridge.
Lovely.
And there's lots of music there. But the first place, I suppose, after home was to go down to Waterford, where I went to college, starting off. And I met Neil down there and a bunch of players in Waterford, and there was great music in Waterford. So I got on the scene there fairly quickly. So from the age of 17, I'd say, I've been playing.
Wow.
Stop in different places.
And would you have gone out to Unrine where the Gaelin is?
Not
Did
so
you
much now, to be
never
honest.
went out to
We
Unrine?
went out a few times. A lot of the lads, like, of course, you wouldn't have a car or anything back then. It was just it was on foot all the time. And
Sure.
buses around the place, but I suppose we'd go to Tramore a good bit, playing in Tramore, and then there's places on the outskirts of Waterford. Some really interesting pubs outside in Kilmeaden as well. There was
Kilmeaden,
a
right.
really interesting one down there. I'm trying to think of the name of it now, but it escapes me at the moment.
And would there have been a vibrant music scene in Tramore? You wouldn't associate traditional Irish music with an area like Tramore.
No, you wouldn't, but you wouldn't be say that to Jimmy O'Brien Moore, maybe.
Right.
And David Power wouldn't be too far.
Right, the two
Coolsplayer,
pipers, yeah.
Which is close to Onrine as well, but Tramore area would have a lot of music as well. Yeah.
Sure.
There was, when I started off in Waterford way back, I'd say there was lots of music around the city, like 7 or 8 different gigs you could go to.
And who
in
would have been the
Waterford.
stalwarts, the older musicians, would I say?
You'd have Neil's father,
Yeah.
Pat Byrne, a lot of other people like Clancy and Peter Kelly and the Dunphys. There was a group called the Rain Dogs, Steve Haberlin, great musician down there. Loads of brilliant players, and of course John Dwyer was always around too.
Oh, John
So John
was
would
an
come into
amazing
sessions here and
presence.
there, like, and it was amazing to get to know him, to
Yeah,
think. So,
he was an awful loss, and you were
Was
here
a
from the shop.
big
Beautiful
loss,
manner from Milltown Malbay as well.
yeah.
Just adored tunes. He was a savage for tunes. He'd never
Yeah,
stop.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah,
I used to love meeting him too. He was a great man to talk to and play the tune with. Like.
yeah. No, his daughter seemingly is talking about getting a compilation of his own compositions out. Now that's a work in progress, so hopefully that'll happen as as the months or years go by. But his brother Richard is here. Do you know Richard at all?
I do a bit, know Richard a bit. I wouldn't have met him much now, but I'd be around down in Ahli's because that festival is on this weekend actually.
Oh, is it?
It is, yeah.
Lovely.
Michael Dwyer and Richard be down there a good bit.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have met Finbar, but I've heard many stories about him over in London too.
Oh yeah, sure. A total. All of them are Jeannie I, plus Margaret and Michael. That album that came out years ago.
That's right.
Do you teach much, Paddy?
I do teach a good bit. I was teaching in London a lot before I came back to Ireland, but I went to start a PhD, and ever since then I'm lecturing now, so I'm teaching a very different subject now. So I teach digital cultures down in UCC. So,
oh my God!
Yeah.
And is the doctorate done? Has the
it's
gown
well
been?
No, it's gone. Yeah.
So your gown,
2018,
we should have introduced you as Unductor.
Unductor.
For you.
It's not many times it happens. I was doing a doctorate on seanfhondúirí by chance actually.
Very nice.
And I got to go into the archive there every day for about 4 years, and it was fascinating stuff in there. But and very inspiring music in the collection. Mostly papers now, not audio, but mostly papers of seanfhondúirí. Yeah.
What did you learn about seanfhondúirí that we don't know anything about?
Well,
was he as influential as
a musician? I suppose I put it down in the liner notes of the album. Actually, one of the things that it taught me was he was very clever in how he would listen to and watch how people did stuff before, and then take the idea but do it in his own way, in a new way. Very much how people create their own style here in Irish music as well. You know, where you'll take something from 3 or 4 different places and create your own style from it.
Yeah.
So that was very much resonated, I suppose, after being to different cities my whole life. So
right, okay.
Different musicians all over, you know.
And we always talk about the style, I suppose. When people didn't travel, we had a lovely East Clare style, you had a lovely North Clare style, West Clare style. Do styles still exist?
That's a very big question, that one.
It is, okay.
And it started with seanfhondúirí too, ironically enough, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say, you know, in all fairness, like there was lots of styles that were in places that were coming from pipe bands and stuff like that over years, and a lot of flute players. Like even I remember when Sean was doing our musical heritage, a letter was sent to him from a guy called Brian O'Doherty from Monclody in Wexford, and he was saying to him, well, what about the style of flute playing over in Leinster, you know, and this kind of thing, you know. So, you know, I think going back to look at that and seeing what were people saying back then, you know, that's the time when it really did start, I think, but I'm not sure it has as much currency when, of course, people are moving everywhere.
I know.
You know, a lot of people go off to college now, and when they're in college, of course, the same as myself, your style changes completely.
Sure.
After learning all the tunes from someone like Larry Kinsella, then going off to Waterford then and learning stuff from Fluke and all these different bands,
right, okay.
a lot of the traditional
contamination.
Contamination is right, yeah. But I think it was more augmentation than anything, you know.
Right.
It was like getting to play in different ways and all that. It was really a nice experience, you know, to play with different bands and all that as well, you know.
I know.
Get into wedding bands and everything like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if style is existent.
I know, yeah, definitely. And I suppose when you talk about the contamination, I mean, you get so many influences, but how many influences do you need before a style becomes non-existent?
Right, exactly, yeah.
You know.
But I definitely say that, like my teacher Larry Gilson would have had a system of playing the concertina that he developed himself, and it's not really that well known. And thankfully he made the album The Barley Grain, because he used to spend an awful lot of time with every single tune, you know, because he was teaching it a lot as well. But he had a certain way of playing that he was opening up to a more contemporary way of playing, but still keeping the push and draw style.
I know.
Because he played accordion as well, and that was very like the Joe Cooley C sharp D playing, you know.
Yeah. So, would styles around the country over the years have had a lot to do with the type of dance that was danced in a certain area?
Oh, absolutely. I'd say, yeah. No, I'm not an expert on that now because I didn't get into that side of it, but I'd say more like there was a Wexford set as well. I don't know if you know, but the Wexford set, and there was a certain way of playing for that, you know, and of course it's more rolling type of playing as well, you know. But it's very hard to match up a way of playing with that, you know. I think it's like, you know, if someone played for a dance, they might have had a few tunes and that was the way to play, and that was it, you know. Yeah. You'd
always think of maybe, do you know the way like reels came from maybe Scotland or whatever, they travelled down, you know, everyone played reels, okay, but it didn't work from the south up to the north because the polkas and slides tended to stay within the mythic area of West Kerry, and you'd wonder why they didn't travel as much.
Yeah, that's right,
yeah.
You wonder, like, and the other thing too, though, I think you have to remember as well, I was over in the Library of Congress when I was doing research there in 2019 before the pandemic, I suppose. And I've noticed an awful lot of over and back between America and Ireland. So people who are living in Ireland, they go to America and then they come back, and people in America who go over to Ireland and come back to the US. And it was a very checkered sort of
Sure.
migration. And so the whole idea then of music in one place probably didn't have currency in a way back then, even
Yeah.
back in the 40s I'm talking about. In the 50s,
I know.
when they were cutting those shellac discs back in that time, you know.
Sure.
So it's fascinating to
Totally
think about it,
fascinating,
but I
yeah.
think it gets into all sorts of territory, doesn't it?
Another doctor at the store then. How come slides and polkas didn't travel north from Kerry?
How did they stay within the kingdom of the
Yeah,
hills, the hills,
sure.
maybe?
It always kind of occurred to me how it maintained maybe the walls, maybe it was walled in down there and never travelled out. But it's unusual.
Yeah.
Paddy, it's great been talking to you. Gur míle maith agah as ucht dvelling and so.
For me, Marcus.
Agus gan éirí leat.
Gur maith agad.
Sound of falling.